Welcome to 180 U-Turn, the talk show that features some of the greatest conversion stories of our time. Stories of men and women who are on the highway to hell when they encountered a Damascus Road experience that completely turned their lives around. Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant, and today I'm broadcasting from the Home of Hope, a ministry of Teen Challenge in Casa Grande, Arizona, one of the premier detox and rehab facilities for drug and alcohol abuse. For more information on their rehabilitation services, weekly meetings, and special events, just check out their website at tcaz.org. That's tcaz.org. Then click on our programs. When the menu drops down, hit Home of Hope. And hey, if you want to write me at the show, our email is steve@180uturn.com. That's steve@180youturn.com. Today and yesterday, we've been putting a spotlight on Mandy Stockton's story. And again, I always exhort you, don't drop in on today's show, which is Tuesday's show. Go back and watch it in succession so you get the idea, because there's stuff I always am grieved when people have huge academic prowess and athletic ability and go to school on scholarships and they get messed up in the things we get messed up in. I mean, that's a tragedy. If you had a terrible background, if your parents didn't love you, divorced, I kind of get that. Right. But this is a pretty good story, and all of a sudden, hey, how did it go south on you, right? All right, well, let's talk about that. You know, you returned to Tennessee after, right? You went to drug court, right?
Well, after I had completed Teen Challenge, worked there for a couple years, worked in intake, and was also the administrative assistant for the associate director, and then decided that I just wanted to go back to Tennessee.
Okay, but remember, during the 5 years, you're helping women in detox, true?
Yes. Right.
Okay, you've seen all the bad things that have happened to these girls.
Yes.
Your worst offense is you drink too much. You can't control your liquor. Okay, that's one thing. And that could fit 90% of my audience out there, right? All right, but you're going to be introduced to something, and I'm shocked that after you spend 5 years in a detox facility helping other people, that you fall into yourself. Tell me what you fell into, and then I really want to know what happened. What was the bridge that got you there?
So I moved back to Tennessee and was introduced to meth, and my life just completely fell apart.
Yeah, but why were you good? Why were you good for that? Why was that okay?
Why was it okay for me
to do meth? Yeah, but you've already seen girls go through heroin and meth withdrawal. You know what the issues are.
To me, I thought that I could handle it. To me, prior, and I hate to say this, but prior, I was always such a judging person, as in, oh, I'll never do that. Or I'll never try that, or this,
You're
that, or
above
the
it.
other, right?
Yeah.
And so the first time that I tried it, I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely loved it. I was like, man,
where have you been?
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
This is it. This is the stuff. And unfortunately, I was still on probation for
during this time,
for the accident that I had with the cop, and had never been drug tested before. Never had a reason. I was in Teen Challenge, was working for Teen Challenge, and went in for a visit, and they gave me a UA and
urine analysis.
Right, and I took it, failed it for meth, and they were just like astonished about it.
But didn't you pawn off some alibi or excuse to cover it?
I said this can't be right, and they believed me, and they said, well, we're just gonna send it off to make sure. And then I thought, oh, this is good. And so they sent it off, and it came back, and had high levels of methamphetamines in it. And so my probation was revoked in full, and I ended up going to prison for the last 4 years.
Okay, well, before I stop you there, I always look at people and I'm going, is this gal a believable gal, right? You know what I mean? And you sold these people that you were good to go, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, I just find it fascinating. One of the great parts about being in the Adamic nature, or just being a kind of a carnal person, is that we have a really good skill set to lie.
Right.
You know what I mean? We can scam the best.
Looked at them, I was just as shocked as they were. I was like, man.
How can this be? Well, listen, the good thing about you doing 4 years down now, you have to go to prison, but it's not prison.
Right.
So talk a little bit about, this isn't going like to here locally, one of the biggest penitentiaries for women is here, 4,300.
Right.
This is something completely different.
So, small town Tennessee, I did go to county jail at first, and they made me a trustee within the first couple of weeks.
What were they thinking?
They wanted me to work in laundry, and I just thought I could not do this for 4 years. Like, I could not be. My house where I grew up is right down the road, and so I had asked, how do you get to a different, how do you get somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing was, you don't want to go to Nashville prison. You don't want to do that, But there was a work camp in Dunlap, Tennessee, which I think they only have like a Walmart, maybe
Mm-hmm.
a Sonic. It's like over the mountains down in the valley. And I ended up getting to go there. And it's so small, it kind of reminds me of Mayberry. I worked at the senior citizen building.
Mm-hmm.
So like I walked to work down a hill every day.
Okay, stop, just to make sure we're all understand what we got. We're in a prison facility, but it's really low minimum. I think it's below minimum.
And basically, it was a privilege to be able to go there, but if you got caught bringing in drugs, if you got caught with anything, you were out. That was it. There was no, they called it the Jesus Center, which is ironic enough because every night a church would come in and it had like the women's tier was in the middle, and then it was men, and then they would open our doors and they would go in the middle, and so a band or church.
So you got co-ed at church, church, but they're on the side.
And this was every night we had church.
Was it an elective?
Like, if you didn't want to hear it, you still heard it in your room.
Okay,
because they were just right out.
But
there.
you don't have to actually attend.
No.
Did a lot of people attend?
But they would come out and they would sit and watch, and it was just something that they called it the Jesus Center. It happened every single night, They did baptisms there. We had a chaplain, and
I just want to say, after 16 years of being in prison, almost 1,700 chapels later,
right?
I cannot tell you the level of appreciation that we get for coming in.
Right.
I cannot tell you. It's amazing.
Right.
We just, after COVID now, we've been in prison now for like two, 3 times. The girls were crazy to see us, and we were just ape for them, right? We just wanted to see them. So helpful. So these are people. This is just what's the beauty about this. And if you're sitting here, hey, Steve, I did time. I never went to chapel. It was a loser deal. You got to be a loser to go to it. Well, let me just tell you something. A lot of these people sacrifice. They believe in what they're into so much that they had 7 services. Every night you're having a service.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, for Thanksgiving and for Christmas, they would come in and they would feed us. I mean, Dunlap is such a small town on the map, but like I said, it was called the Jesus Center, as ironic as that is, and that's where I was placed.
Okay, so you see the love of God displayed by 7 different groups, right? And that doesn't help. That doesn't wake you up.
No, not at all.
Okay,
not at all.
So this is why I bring this up. I say, listen, if you're hearing this, I could save you 10 years on addiction if you would just hear me out. You know what I mean? Because now you're going to go through all this stuff, and you're going to wind up having a God event. We'll talk about it Thursday. But it's just amazing to me, right? We still keep pushing it off, pushing him away. Okay, so now this is a pretty good deal, though. I mean, you're walking out of prison down the street of your basically a place that's not too far from your home, right?
Right.
And so you're doing this, but during this time, what happened with your family?
So my mother ended up passing away from massive heart failure. I did get to go on a furlough and go to her funeral, but it was kind of like when I came back, there was just nothing left of me. There was
I want to stop you there. Most people and I'll just use our state as an example, most people in the state would not get, if you were state custody, the odds are you will not get a furlough. Right. And so it's very, very, and I hope you see this as another God milestone here, that he allowed you to leave and be with your family during this time of grieving, right? Did you see it then?
No, it was more or less, and I'll just be completely honest with you in this, it was at my mother's funeral, I had someone bring me drugs that I could bring back into the jail with me. And so
knowing that if you do get caught, you're going to the big prison.
Right. And so that's just where my mind was. That was, you know, the unfortunate part about it. It was all I was sober, you know, during, because I know I was going to be drug tested when I came back in, and I was sober during my mother's funeral, but I can't tell you a thing about it. There was so many people there. She was a teacher, impacted a lot of people's lives, but the only thing I remember is just everybody continuously saying, you know.
The teachers giving this to you?
No.
Oh,
My mother was a
okay,
teacher,
okay.
and impacted so many, you know, lives. She was a teacher for 27 years. And was also a cheerleading coach for 27 years, and so just the amount of people that were there. The only thing I really remember from that is just everybody saying I'm sorry, and me just wondering, you know, where this person was that I've set this up with to come and meet me, to give me this so I can hurry up and get it and do what I have to do.
If you can, just for our viewers, and I've done this with other people and other drugs, but you know, meth itself, it's a very consuming drug. It can also mess with your physical features, your dental work. I mean, it's got some pretty punishing physiological issues. But the big thing is I can't convey to a person who hasn't used the taste, what it does to you. What does it do to you?
What did meth do?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my goodness. I felt like I could do anything, say anything. I mean, I would have ran for president. You know, it was just something that it got to the point, you know, where I was doing meth every single day. And I've heard people say that, you know, meth is not addictive. It is. It's
totally
not
addictive.
just. It's not just mentally addictive. It's physically addictive.
And it has. If I'm hearing you right, and stop me if you think I'm interpreting this too greatly. But this spirit of invincibility issue, right? I keep hearing some of the same similar stories all the time, and for some reason, this superwoman mentality, right?
That and it was, you know, some people who do meth, you know, you get this general impression that they just talk a lot and that wasn't me. Mine was more of, I had things to do. I had a job, you know. I would just get things done. I had to have it to not only numb everything that was going on inside of me.
Well, what is going on inside of you?
You know, I had lost my mom. I certainly didn't think that my life was going to end up the way that it had ended up, and you know, here I was.
So I'm sorry, can I back up a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay, so your mom's death was a big event in your life, and this sent you south, and you almost questioned whether you should stay alive, right?
Right.
I mean, you're questioning it.
Right, and that was, you know, I get back to prison from the furlough, and they put me on the drug Elavil, which is an antipsychotic drug, and a lot of people use it for sleeping medication, but it was given to me in the morning, and so I basically, for the year and a half that I had left, had no feelings whatsoever. It was kind of like Groundhog Day. So all that had happened, I had suppressed, and the day that I got out, and my father picked me up, and on the way home from the drive from prison and him talking, I remember the last thing I said to him was, well, can you just take me back? Because our relationship and from everything that had happened, and I also remember, you know, when my mother had passed away, thinking, she's left me with him now. Because in the beginning, when I had the car accident, that almost completely severed our relationship because I had embarrassed our family. And I had let him down, and that wasn't only my last name, but that was his last name too. And so,
and you get that,
right? And I get that now. I didn't get that then. I just thought, you know, this is my dad, and here we are, and so. But that was one of the things that I said was, you know, can you just turn around and can you take me back to prison? I would just rather go back there.
Before we close out this part of this episode, when you were in prison, you didn't realize this till you got in there, but you had to kind of defend yourself sometimes, right?
Oh,
so
like
push
the
around.
And,
you know,
3 weeks I was there, it was horrible. Oh, it was horrible. It was the first week I was in there, 2 girls approached me and said that I looked stuck up, and ended up getting into a physical altercation, and did a whole lot better than what I thought I was going to do. And about a week later, the girl's friend came in and told me basically that she was going to kill me for what I did to her friend. And, you know, I wish I could sit here and say that I was all big and bad, but I was so scared that I blacked out and ended up breaking her jaw and almost got charged with an assault charge. But they went back and saw that it was, you know, to defend myself. But in that moment after that is when I learned that I could physically take care of myself. And something inside of me just kind of snapped, and it was like, I can take care of myself.
I have talked to so many people in prison that the people that not everybody has the success part that you just said. Right. They usually find out, hey, they're not that great, and they're This is we're going to continue this story with Mandy Stockton. We're going to go tomorrow's show. I wish it could get better. It's not. It's going to fall off the table. Listen, for more information on everything that's going on here at the Home of Hope, a teen challenge facility that we are in right now here in Casa Grande, just hop out to the website at tcaz.org. And as soon as you come on the website, you'll see on the top menu our programs. Click it. It'll page down, and you'll hit Home of Hope for any of their services, events, any of their rehabilitation, what they offer. I think you'll find it to be amazing. So until next time, I'm Steve Savant, and remember, no one's outside the reach of God. No, not one.